You ever watch something and think this is almost perfect, but something feels off? Maybe it's a tiny detail like something in the background that just doesn't seem to sit right. Maybe it's the way a character feels like it's slapped on a background as a PNG and dragged around with a mouse. Now, it's not enough to ruin the experience, but it's just enough to leave you wondering, what was that? And that's exactly how I feel about. Now, if you've seen the show, you already know what I'm talking about. The writing is absolutely top tier. Every episode delivers amazing storytelling, incredible character arcs, and gut-wrenching moments that hit like a freight truck. The characters are perfectly written. They evolve, they make you care, they actually feel real. And the action can sometimes be some of the best in superhero media. And the fights don't just look cool. They're brutal, they're emotionally charged, they're unforgettable. But then the animation kicks in, and suddenly you start noticing these small things. Sometimes it looks absolutely phenomenal. Cinematic, dynamic, every punch feels like it's landing with weight. But sometimes character movements feel very floaty. Backgrounds seem lifeless, and NPCs look like they're animated in PowerPoint. But it's weird though, because when Invincible looks good, it looks really good. I mean, think of some sequences like Omni-Man versus the Guardians or Omni-Man versus Mark. They're animated so beautifully. But then in the quieter scenes, the filler episodes, the cracks really start to show. Characters glide across the screen like they're in an early access video game. Sometimes their faces lack detail, like the placeholder didn't get updated. And the funny thing is, this isn't some low budget indie project. This is one of the biggest superhero shows on the planet. So why does it look like it's consistently cutting corners? Some fans say who cares, the story is amazing. And honestly, they're right. If Invincible was animated with stick figures, I would still be invested. But others ask, how does a billion-dollar company actually let this happen? And honestly, they're right about that too. Because here's the crazy part. Amazon is out here throwing insane budgets to the live-action counterparts like The Boys, Rings of Power, Fallout. And yet, one of their most successful shows on the platform feels like it's operating with scraps compared to those. Before we get any further, I need to make something very clear. The animators are not the problem. Like, at all. Animation is one of the most demanding, time-consuming, and underappreciated arts in this industry. And the artists that are working on Invincible are incredibly talented, don't get me wrong. They are 100% doing the best with the tools, the budget, and the resources that they've been given. So, if the animation does look rough, it is not because of a lack of skill, so stop throwing that around the internet. Amazon is one of the richest companies on the planet. They could easily throw a couple million extra dollars at Invincible and never feel a thing. And yet they choose not to. So why is that? The most obvious reason is that they just don't see the need to. Think about it. Invincible's already a massive success. It trends every time a new episode drops, and it's pulling in massive viewership numbers and great ratings. And Amazon knows this. They know that people are going to watch no matter what. So from a pure business standpoint, they don't need to increase the budget. One of the most common things I've been seeing online is that the animation budget is getting drained by the A-list voice actors. And now I get where that theory comes from. It kind of makes sense. The show has some insane talent. J.K. Simmons, Stephen Yeun, Mahershala Ali, Walton Goggins, Mark Hamill even. So people just assume that Amazon is dumping buckets of money into the actors and leaving the scraps for the animators. But here's why that's really not the case. Animation voice acting costs way less than the typical live action salary. Big name Hollywood actors, yeah, they're going to still make a lot of money from it, but they're not making near as much as they're going to make whenever they're on a live action film. And another thing to note, having great voice actors is one of the best selling points for Invincible. I mean, can you picture anyone else other than J.K. Simmons playing Omni-Man? Absolutely not. So no, in my opinion, I don't think that this problem is that Amazon is dumping all their resources into the voice actor. Now, here's some real insight into the situation. A YouTuber went ahead and showcased what the compositing would look like if they focused a lot more on the shading and lighting. And one of the compositors from the Invincible team actually commented on the video. And to paraphrase what they said, the team was way too understaffed to have this level of quality when it comes to compositing. So that alone should tell you everything you need to know. It's not about bad animators or lazy work. It's not even about style choices. It's about not having enough hands on deck to really polish the animation like it could be. Now, if Amazon isn't willing to throw more money at more animators and more studios, then the next best thing is going to be to increase the wait times in between seasons. Animation is incredibly time consuming. So the more time you have, the more polished the finished product's going to be, obviously. But the question is, would fans be okay with waiting longer to actually see an improvement in animation quality? Some, like myself, yes, but others, absolutely not. And I get it, the wait between seasons already feels brutal enough. The idea of waiting another 2 to 3 years in between seasons is definitely going to push some fans over the edge. And that's ultimately the dilemma. People want better animation, but they also want Invincible right now. And Amazon knows this. So instead of pushing the timeline back, they're just going to keep cutting corners so that they stay on pace. And at the end of the day, Invincible is already a massive success. Amazon knows they don't have to improve the animation to keep people hooked and engaged. So until then, we might just have to accept that Invincible is going to be great, but not as great as it could be. Now, here's where things get really frustrating. Amazon has no problem throwing these massive budgets at their live action shows. Rings of Power got $60 million per episode. 60 million. I don't even know anyone that watched that show. Meanwhile, Invincible has a reported budget of $2 to $3 million per episode. That's not even a fraction of the budget for Rings of Power. And before you all say that, well, animation's cheaper than live action, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, animation doesn't require as expensive acting, massive set pieces, and on-site filming, but that does not mean it's cheap. Animation still requires a massive team of artists working on every single frame. They have to worry about storyboarding, compositing, post-production, and so much more. So in other words, it's just as labor intensive, if not more, than live action. Now let's reference Arcane for a second. That show had $10 million per episode, and it was also in production for 6 years before release. And that's obviously because great animation takes a lot of time and a lot of resources. So what's Amazon's excuse? To studios like Amazon, animation is usually for kids or for really niche genres that don't really justify high budgets. So this is why studios oftentimes greenlight a lot of bigger budgets for those live action counterparts. This is also why animated projects are often underfunded or canceled outright. Netflix did the exact same thing when they canceled a bunch of animated projects in 2022. And some of those were critically acclaimed. So they assumed the animation wasn't worth the budget even though they had a really loyal audience. And the exact same thing is happening here. Think about this. Amazon is watching Invincible dominate the streaming charts, trending online, and building an insanely large online fan base. And what's their response? Instead of boosting the project's funding, they're still treating it like it's some sort of side project. And again, I feel like I need to reiterate this point. Rings of Power Season 1 cost them $500 million. That is insanity. And in my opinion, from what I've heard online, Invincible has done better historically than Rings of Power. So they're investing in a show that is giving them diminishing returns when one of their shows is critically acclaimed and has such a large audience, and they're giving him scraps. This isn't about affordability. Amazon obviously has the money. They just don't care enough to invest in animation like they do for live action. Now, another one of the biggest reasons for Amazon's inconsistent animation is the fact that they outsource a lot of their animation to multiple different studios. Now, outsourcing is completely normal in the industry. I mean, Avatar: The Last Airbender outsourced it all to Korea. But here's the issue. Amazon isn't prioritizing the quality control. Instead of working with one primary animation studio for consistency, it's split between a lot of different teams, meaning there's going to be a lot of fluctuating quality. Tight deadlines and budget constraints force these studios to cut corners like reduced shading or reduced frames. And this is why a lot of fight scenes are heavily focused instead of the filler episodes and the dialogue. So this explains why some scenes feel absolutely phenomenal while others feel like they're operating on a shoestring budget. So at the end of the day, is this ever going to change? If we want higher quality animation, it's only going to happen if fans demand better, or if a competing show comes into the space, but I don't really see that happening. Now, at the end of the day, does Invincible's animation ruin the show? Absolutely not. The writing is still phenomenal. The characters are genuinely some of the best in superhero storytelling, and when the action hits, it hits hard. I'm still going to watch Invincible no matter what. I'm still going to be hyped for every new episode that drops. But just because something is already great doesn't mean it can't be improved upon. And that's what makes this whole argument so frustrating. When I say that the animation can be improved upon, I'm not saying that it's horrible. I'm just saying that we should always advocate for higher quality. I mean, this is genuinely one of Amazon's biggest and most successful shows. But yet, you can tell it's being treated like an afterthought when it comes to animation quality. Now, if you're a hardcore defender of the animation, I want you to put your bias aside for a second. If Invincible had the same animation and visual quality as Pantheon, for example, imagine if every fight, every emotional moment, and every single frame was as stunning as could possibly be. Would that not make Invincible a better show? Absolutely. So instead of everyone arguing with each other about how the animation's crap or how the animation's okay, but we should just not worry about it, instead we should focus on just wanting the show to be improved upon, so we need to turn the attention to Amazon itself. Now, are they ever going to make it happen? That's completely up to them. But maybe it is up to us a little bit. Because as long as fans keep watching, keep loving, but also keep demanding better, then maybe, just maybe, Amazon will start treating Invincible like the powerhouse it really is. Because this show isn't just good, It's a special piece of art and it deserves to be treated like it.